back! And he's still on the NES. Seriously. In 1994, the poor old Nintendo was basically dead, but there was apparently a loyal market who was still buying games for it. Unfortunately, Mega Man 6 was given an even more limited release than before, and it was never released in PAL at all. Grrr. Like in previous games, Capcom held a robot design contest to see who could come up with the most interesting something man. This time, however, America was included in the competition. If only they'd accepted Aussie entries, I'm sure my designs would have won. Where was I? Oh yes. Michael Leader and Daniel Valet won the contest for their Windman and Nightman respectively. That must have been the coolest thrill ever. I wonder whatever happened to those guys. The crazy thing is, now that Capcom were making a game for a system that nobody played anymore, they finally added in some fairly big changes that people were probably expecting a couple of games ago. For example, Rush doesn't just teleport in by your side anymore, he actually attaches to Mega Man's body. Whoa, that's all kinds of creepy. In gameplay terms though, it gives a whole new set of abilities and challenges. There's two flavours of Rush. The Jet version gives Mega Man limited flight power, which opens up new areas in the levels. The Rush Power Adapter lets him punch stuff. Again, it's fairly limited and you can't slide while wearing the armour, but it's cool and a little bit different. There's a lot more branching paths in Mega Man 6. Almost every level has an alternate track that Mega Man can take if he has the right abilities to do so. In 4 of the levels there's a secret boss hidden somewhere, and if you defeat all 4 of them, ta-da, you unlock Beat, who is exactly the same as he was in Mega Man 5, except this time he can't beat the final boss. Ugh, stupid bird. The story is suitably dumb, but let's go with it anyway. A mysterious man called Mr. X is holding a robot tournament where the leaders from all over the world would submit a robot to battle it out and see who's the best. Then, of course, the robots start taking over the world, and Mr. X is revealed to be a criminal mastermind. Yeah, whatever. It's interesting that each robot master in Mega Man 6 has a national flavour to them. Let's check them out. Lizard Man is, unsurprisingly, from Antarctica, although I wonder who in Antarctica had the resources to build him. The penguins? Anyway, he's basically a snowball on skis, and he can shoot deadly snowflakes out of the air. Windman is apparently from China, and he can use the wind to send him flying through the sky and shoot out blades. Apparently he and Airman are rivals. Flame Man is from the Middle East, turban and all, and he's found in a place with lots and lots of oil. Just don't let it set on fire. Tomahawk Man is the token American, and he's a native, obviously. I don't know that these are the most culturally sensitive robots, but hey, Tomahawk Man has one of the best weapons. Next up is Centaur Man, who I think must be Greek. His level seems to be the lost city of Atlantis though. There's really weird stuff going on down here. In one section the water comes down from the ceiling. Now if a centaur is a horseman, does that make Centaur Man a horseman man? Or am I just thinking about this way too much? Knightman. The chivalrous British knight. He attacks with a ball and chain and blocks attacks with his shield. Mega Man finds him in the depths of an ancient castle. Yamato Man is from Japan. I can remember being very confused by this boss looking at pictures in magazines back in the day. Why wasn't he called Samurai Man or Spearman? Yamato isn't even a word that's easily translated into English. It's like a patriotic Japanese word that kind of means home. So perhaps they should have called him All We Love About Japan Man. Then again, Yamato Man's not that bad. Lucky last is Plant Man. He's from the South American jungle and yeah, he's into plants and flowers and stuff. Hippie. I really like Mega Man 6. A few episodes ago I was saying that while Mega Man 5 is good, it felt a bit rushed and didn't seem to have as much effort put into it. This game is the remedy to that. Every element of the game seems well thought out and is tailored to people who want a Mega Man experience but also want to be surprised as they play. For example, have a look what happens when you select a character from the stage select screen. Whoa! Look at all those stats! With the new rush abilities and the branching paths, this is a game that feels both familiar and fresh. It's also got the best graphics of all the 8-bit Mega Man games, not that anyone cared by the time it was released. It's definitely a fitting swan song for the series on the NES. This might have seemed like the end for Dr. Wily and his minions, but as the closing credits indicate, there's still more to come. And now onto a relatively unknown chapter in the Castlevania saga. This is yet another game that had a different name in every region it was released in. It was simply called Vampire Killer in Japan. In America it was Castlevania Bloodlines, and in Europe and Australasia it became known as Castlevania The New Generation. This is a more modern day Castlevania, taking place in 1917, 5 years after the sinking of the Titanic and towards the end of World War I. In a first for the series, the majority of the action takes place outside of Dracula's castle. In fact, only the first level should look familiar to series veterans. The rest of the game is a journey across Europe. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. Right from the start of the game, you can choose to play as one of two characters. There's no hidden characters like in Castlevania 3 or Rondo of Blood. You either play as John Morris, who wields the Belmont's trusty whip, or Eric Lecalde, a Spanish guy who fights using an enormous spear. I did try both of them, and for the most part they play fairly similar, but I just couldn't go past the whip for that authentic Castlevania feel, so I mostly played the game as John. The main draw card of being Eric is that he has a super jump that can be useful to reach high spots, but John can use the whip to swing across gaps. This is a very straightforward and completely linear game, like Castlevania 4. You just go through room after room of baddies, progressing on to the inevitable boss, and then getting an orb to unlock the next part of the journey. I still have no idea what those orbs are supposed to be, but there they are. There's no branching paths or dialogue, it's just start to finish and that's it. A bit of a step back from Rondo of Blood. For some reason, the usual hearts which act as weapon currency were replaced with jewels in this game, which makes a little bit more sense, but not much. I remember there were jewels in Castlevania 64 as well. Anyway, the levels are nice and varied, and they've got some really cool environments to fight through. I loved the Leaning Tower of Pisa, that was really cool. Although Medusa heads still suck. Being a Castlevania game, oh yeah, it's as challenging as ever. Sometimes frustratingly so, but hey, that's Castlevania, I've kind of got used to it. Konami did a great job with the presentation, the graphics look excellent, and this game proves that the Mega Drive could pump out some really good music if the composers knew how to work it. But apart from that, it's very much your standard Castlevania game. Nothing jumps out at me as being particularly amazing or original, but it plays well, and it must have been really cool for the Sega fans of 1994 to finally have a Castlevania game to call their own. Yep, it's another Castlevania stander. Let's see what's coming up in the next bunch of games. We follow the adventures of young Merlin, oh hi, and check out the Turtles Street Fighter ripoff. Then it's down to the gutters of bad taste with Boogerman. Ew. See you next time. Peace out.